You're on.
All right, good morning, class. Everyone have a good weekend?
No.
Yeah? Was the sort of because of the cold? No, you like the cold?
Yes.
In St. Louis? That's pretty cool. I was not. But that is okay. So everyone had kind of a decent weekend though?
No.
Right. Cool. Me too. We can move forward now. I'm happy everyone's cool. But as you can tell by the study guide and the board, today we are learning about our first lesson on the economy. And to start off, I have one question for you. I want you to consider, how does where you were born determine how you will live? So, say if you live in America compared to somewhere like Nigeria or Haiti, how does that change? I want you to kind of talk with a partner you're sitting next to. What changes? Think about what might you gain in some countries, what might you lose, what kind of luxuries in the household. So just take about a minute or so and talk to someone next to you. Were you when did you come? A couple months ago? Nice. Who all, do you have a big family? Who do you come with? First a little bit. You all have about 30 seconds left, okay?
I was not born for years.
Okay, I kind of hear the discussion settling down a little bit, so let's take some hands, all right? Who has some suggestions? Yeah, Tristan, did you raise your hand?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's up?
I said it kind of just matters on what country you're in. It could be a good one or a bad one.
Okay,
So like a bad one would be, for instance, North Korea.
okay, yeah, that's a good point. Like what kind of, if you wanted to guess, because we haven't really talked about anything like that, what might be maybe missing in like a North Korean household that maybe you have there? What might you think?
Like, a lot of food.
A lot of
There's
food.
probably some shortage.
Okay, so yeah, kind of the luxury of surplus. Were you raising your hand?
You know, like the access to the internet and stuff.
Access to the internet, another luxury. Okay, yeah. Any more ideas? Yeah. Yeah, Lauren. Food production. Okay, yeah, that's pretty good. We're gonna take all right, two more. Cause I see Tristan and Cameron. Cameron.
You would have different like rights, like what you can and can't do.
Different rights. Yeah, we kind of talked about that throughout the government unit. We're not necessarily focusing on that as much, but I like where your head's at. That's a good point. And then Tristan, we'll go you last.
Yeah, and like different countries would probably have different rights, like you wouldn't have as much freedom of speech as in America and like North Korea.
Okay. All right. Real quick, you two.
Job opportunities.
Job opportunities. Okay.
It's like a richer or poorer country.
Yep. If it's a richer or poorer country, yeah. We're talking about economy, but yeah, I have this because I want you all to think about. Yeah. I want you to think about. There we go. Something that changes where you, depending on where you live. Beds. So, Schroeder's. This is Gapminder. This basically kind of lists different living situations around the world. This number right here is the entire amount of what that family makes in a month. So here in Burundi, it is $27 a month. And this is their kind of living situation. Thank you, Ms. Broders. So the Butai family lives in Burundi. Imelda is 41 years old and she works as a farm laborer on her own land. She has 4 children and they live with her in a 2-bedroom house. They own the house and have been living here for 5 years, and their most favorite items are their cattle and clothes, and their dream is to be able to someday buy a better house for themselves. So this is the 2-bedroom apartment, or the 2-bedroom house. That is where they sleep. So it's, would we say it's a little bit different than your guys' beds for some of you? Okay, yeah. Let's take one more. This right here, this is France. This family makes $14,000 a month in comparison to the one we just saw. So they like the surroundings of their house, however they dislike the tourist activity in the area. Their favorite items are their family photos and artwork collection. No one here owns art because we don't make $14,000 a month, but their dream is to buy a chalet house in Switzerland. Much bigger issue than trying to find a much bigger monetary thing to achieve than just, oh, we'd like a better place to live in. So obviously what we consider problems in some areas are very wide and different. Yeah, we're gonna go back. Toilets. Plumbing is incredibly different in different parts of the world. For example, in the Ukraine, they make about $10,000 a month, fairly decent living area. It looks like how I'd say most bathrooms are. But in, say, the Philippines, where they only make $194 a month, it's a little bit, the surrounding is a little bit different. Yes, there is an area that you can go to the restroom, though it seems a little bit rougher, not as furnished, but it's more of a functional position. So, do we have any more ideas now that we kind of saw those on what might be affected depending on where you live, kind of where we're in the ballpark of? Yeah? Opportunities for a job. Yeah? Uh-huh. So there's a different way of living, and some of the money exchange is a little bit different. Okay, yeah. It's, yeah. But it kind of seems like it's based off of luck, right? So should luck determine how good of a life you live?
Yes.
No. But that is kind of how we find ourselves. And it's not the greatest, but next up, we all have needs and wants, right? Like we all have things that we need and things that we just gotta have, you know? So, for example, in this country right now, is that Peru?
Yeah.
The thing they value, the thing they really want to get is a blender. That's something very like more essential in comparison to, again, we go to France where they make $14,000 and they value like books, which are more of like a luxury. They get more art pieces and stuff like that. Here in the Philippines, with $865, they want to get transportation. They want to be able to go place to place to make it easier. It could either be for business or it could be for just for the family to travel. Here in Spain, again, transportation. In South Africa, it's a little lower, but like it's about $3,000. They would like to get beds and possibly, you know, like a smartphone. So it kind of reaches a little bit more towards, you know, what we may be used to here in the States. Thank you. But yeah, needs. So needs are basically something you must have to survive. Some easy examples. What's something you need? Oh, a lot of hands shot up.
Water.
Yes, we need water. If you do not have water, you will die. Yeah.
Food.
Yes, food. You do need food because that is the same example of what will happen if you don't have water. We're going to take two more. Sarah?
Like medicine or
Yes.
cleaning supplies.
See, yeah, that's a good example of what we may need, but you know, some people might not be able to afford medicine or necessarily have the same kind of like hygienic products that we have. But yeah, that's a good example of what like we might deem necessary. And then yeah, last one, Dane.
Clothing.
Clothing, yes. Protection from the elements. Something that is. I'm sorry.
Shelter.
Shelter, yes. It's a very good example right there. But then we move to wants. Now, we define wants as something you'd like to have. For example, I don't need Oreos, but I want them because they taste delicious. And sure, I may eat too much sometimes if it's a problem, but I can handle it. That's not important. But take like 30 seconds and just talk really quickly amongst yourselves. What are some wants that you can all think of? Some luxury items that you don't need to survive, but it'd be really cool if you had. Take about 30 seconds.
I would be like, I want to see what I can.
Was that done? Need a dog. That's an interesting thing to look at. Though some people do need dogs for you know, seeing or hearing.
My dogs are amazing.
Yeah, those kind of help dogs. So yeah, that could be more qualified. It's like you need that. So that's a good idea to bring up. Okay. Okay, everyone, we're going to bring it back up here. What are some ideas of wants that we came up with? Yeah. Headphones, yeah. You gotta listen to your music, but you gotta listen to it privately because you just want to, you know, just chill out. Yeah. Another dog?
A dog?
Oh, 2 dogs. Man, that is definitely a want. That is. Oh, 3 dogs. Okay. Yeah, good example. Yeah.
An RTX 3090 graphics
They said you
That
could
is a
recommend-
lot of letters put together, but obviously you want that. Yeah.
That is
The internet. Yes. The internet is very much a luxury. We don't need it necessarily, but to kind of do more things, we find it as a good luxury. All right, bring the focus back up here. Thank you. Yeah, next up, we're going to, oh, this button's getting a little sticky, guys, but that's okay. So, the question is, how do we satisfy these needs and wants? We do this through the economy. Finally came out, the economy, which is the wealth and resources of a country or region. And as we can see in comparison, the United States is one of the largest economies in the world. China actually is on the rise as we get closer to present day. And we see Germany is in the top 10. If we recall from our government section, we talked a little bit about how the whole reason Germany went to war in the first place was debt. They were incredibly indebted to the rest of the world. But now that they're kind of on the up and up, they would never start a war again because they have too much to lose. Whereas in comparison to previously, they had nothing to lose. Did I see some hand earlier? Was somebody wanting to ask a question?
No.
All right, I'm just thinking things up. But one of the things that the economy relies on is resources, mainly natural resources. And these are materials that occur in nature, such as minerals, forests. Got to get that wood to make paper or to build houses, water, fossil fuels, and it's all for economic gain. So just remember to be writing down some of these definitions. If we've missed some, let me know, and I can remedy that. My apologies if that was not clear. If so, we can circle back to it if there's any confusion. But yeah, an example of natural resources. Do you guys remember Iran? We learned about in the government section what we were asking for from the Shah. It was oil.
Yeah.
We wanted oil from Iran, so we made business deals with the Shah at that time to make some exchanges. Blake's going out that way. But yeah, other examples, we get fuel from Saudi Arabia. We get coal and charcoal sometimes from Canada and wood. And we have trading partners with like Europe also to kind of upkeep each other's economies. And the way that we pay for all this is currency. Now, currency is the money that is used in a particular country. Now, particular is actually very important in this situation because I want you all to know that no money is exactly the same. For example, in America, we have the US dollar. In Mexico, they have pesos. So a dollar in the US is actually 20 pesos in Mexico. So it's kind of an interesting trade-off on on how certain money is valued from others. But be careful because the American dollar is actually not even worth a single pound in England. A pound is what,
125.
it's actually 0.75. It would be cool if it was 25 cents over, but sadly it's actually the opposite. That's a good pull though. Maybe it was at one point, you know. So maybe we're both right. We'll see. But yeah, it's kind of fun to think about how, you know, if you have like $5, you can have a fun day in Mexico pretty quick. But just be careful that you actually save up your money if you're heading to England, for example. But something you can buy with your, yeah, what's up? Did you not get it? No? I will go back. I will go back. How we doing?
Good.
Yeah? Okay. Doing okay. Okay, so, as we were saying, something that you can buy with your money is goods. And goods are an item that is made or grown by humans to be sold. We all use goods. Can we think of any that maybe we buy? Yeah. Cars, yes. Cars are manufactured. Doritos are also manufactured, and they taste okay in my opinion, but a lot of people like them. Yeah. Coffee, yes, coffee beans. They are manufactured to make coffee. Well, they're not manufactured, they're grown to make coffee. Chocolate, yes. Also some goods is, for example, corn or beans. To kind of think of that on an agricultural side. Do we have good?
Yes.
Okay. Next up is services. I think we've all kind of heard the terms goods and services kind of put in the same sentence together. A service is work that someone does for someone else in exchange for pay. Now that can be a lot of things. It can be, say, a doctor or giving a checkup. It can be a mechanic for fixing up the car, the good that you purchased. You know, we kind of talked about that just a second ago. It can be someone working at McDonald's. It could be a waiter. It can be a lot of things. Do we have any other questions about services necessarily, if we're not sure? Okay. Well, next up. Now the people who buy goods and services are consumers. Let's get this out right now. We are all consumers. I am a consumer. Tristan is a consumer. Broders is a consumer. We all have things we need
We all have things we want. We all need food and water to survive. And sometimes we also like to go to the arcade and splurge $5 on that crane machine that just will not let us get that dang puppy. And that is perfectly okay. But just know that we are all consumers and we all buy goods and services. And next up are the people called producers. Do I have any guesses on what a producer may be if we just talked about consumers? Yes. Sorry, I was pointing at you.
The person that makes the stuff that the people consume.
Yeah, good job, Wesley. Yeah.
The person that gave the idea to someone to make.
So kind of, okay, a creator is what you're thinking? Yeah.
The person who produces.
Yes, the person who produces those goods. Good trifecta of finding the definition. So yes, a person who makes and or sells goods and services. This can be companies, it can be a produce salesman, it can be a car salesman. What are some kind of companies that or brands that you all like that you purchase from? No? Okay. Tristan? Say it again. I'm sorry. Nike. Yes, Nike is a brand. They produce footwear, sometimes for fashion, sometimes for athletics, sometimes a little bit of both. Yep. I'm sorry, were you raising your hand? Yeah. Amazon. Yes, Amazon is a conglomerate. Their CEO just went to space. That is how rich that man is off of, yes, Jeff Bezos.
Jeffrey Faye.
I thought it was Elon Musk.
Yeah, good call, Austin. It is Jeffrey Bezos. And, yeah, Colby, what were you going to say?
Tesla.
Yes, Tesla. Yes, the cars that I will never be able to afford, but I'm happy with my truck. That is a very good point. Yeah. Lamborghini, yes. Another example of cars I will never drive. We're going to take two more. Jacob. Under Armour, yes. Again, athletics. We need them to kind of keep warm, but they're also kind of an athletic fit. Lydia? Walmart, great value. Okay, yeah, that's pretty good. All right, hey, attention back up here. Thank you. Great. So, we are going to move on from that. I hear a lot, those are a lot of good suggestions. I like what I was hearing. But yeah, visualizing an economy. So what we need to realize is that producers solely make these things to sell to the consumers. So all the money that the consumers give producers, they put back into creating more stuff for the consumers. So it's a cycle. For example, if I sold Tristan a Lambo, as we said, if I sold Tristan a Lambo, which he cannot legally drive, but it's still cool that he has it, he would give me money, and then maybe I'd use that money to make up more Lambos to sell to Tristan, because he just loves having like an army of Lambos at his feet. Let's say Tristan's a millionaire. Alright? But yeah, it basically becomes this cycle because of the system we know as an economy, because it controls the exchange of wealth and resources between the producers and the consumers. So whenever we talk about economy, kind of think of that as the middleman that allows that exchange to happen. Because without it, it would just be a barter system. If you gave me the money, it would be useless. But because we have an economy, we're able to use paper as a value item. So, how do we measure an economy? GDP. I like the guess. Also, it's next up on the vocab. But what GDP stands for is gross domestic product. Yes. It is a measure of a country's wealth, as well as the value of all the goods and services produced in a country in a year. So basically what a country has to offer, which really kind of helps bring it together as far as that. For example, can we go to there real quick? We're going to go back to Gapminder. This is the home of the Teresas. They are an American family, and they make $3,450 in a month. So, really good. I'll tell their story. Teresa is 25 years old and is a business analyst. Her fiance, Reginald, is 28 years old, and he is a manager. They have 2 children, and they live with them in a 3-bedroom apartment. Their house is an ideal location, which is close to the workplace and relatives. However, they aren't happy with the house's size. Their next big plan is to have their wedding ceremony, and their dream is to buy a new car as well as a new house. Okay, so let's kind of scroll down a little bit on some of the things they have. They have a fairly comfortable bathroom, a couple of books, their bed, pretty well put together. There's their kitchen utensils, all kind of stacked up inside the kitchen. They have hygiene materials such as dishwash soap and brushes. They have sink, they have running water. There's a couple of wants in there. There's earrings, some more stylized shoes. They're able to afford, kind of the brand food. Very clean hands, as we see. But yeah, we see all that. So like a fairly well-off family, would we say? Next up is Sweden, which is around the same amount that the American family made, so about $3,000. And this is the Gill family, and they live in Sweden, and they have a rented 2-bedroom apartment, and they have lived there for 10 years because it's low rent. But they aren't happy with the apartment elevator, which is too small. And their favorite item in there is their car, and their next big plan is to buy an outdoor pool. They dream of one day being able to buy a family island home and classic cars. Oy vey. So, will we say that these 2 families are content, or are they wanting more?
Yeah.
They want more. This family wants to buy a pool as well as an island home, which is kind of insane, honestly. But yeah, they kind of have a similar. All right, hey, bring it back up here. Thank you. Yeah, what we have is kind of a fairly well-off, how we consider like our living to be. Some nicer elements though. But yeah, they can afford that, is why they want those things. So we're gonna go to Rwanda next. And yeah, I apologize that I can't fully say this name well, but the amount of money they make is exponentially lower than the last 2. They make $73 a month. So this is their bathroom as well as their toilet. And their bathroom privacy, I believe, is kind of like a wood/wicker door that can kind of be pulled, I think. This is their bedroom. And those are their bowls. Those are their eating utensils, their cooking utensils. That is a spoon that is on the ground. That's their chicken. And this is their drinking water. So the thing about it's in a gas can, but there's never been gas in it. It's safe. That is solely a water can. But I want you guys to consider that this drinking water, they don't have a running sink or tap or plumbing, it seems like. So they are most likely having to take the can and walk a few miles towards a water source to gather that up to use as drinking or washing or being able to clean things properly. So there's a bit more effort going in overall as to having the luxury of water and the need of it. These are their everyday shoes for their lifestyle. And can we scroll up real quick on what they valued? I think we missed it. So they dream. They live in a 5-room house, and they own the house and have been living there for 7 years. And their next big plan is to buy some materials to build their roof. They dream of one day being able to buy a new, beautiful house. So would we say that they kind of, their wants are more of what we would consider needs? Yeah, kind of. They don't necessarily have the same things that we would say Sweden or America have, and they are relying on less, it seems. So next up, we're going to go to China. In China, doesn't necessarily have $3,000 a month like in America or Sweden, but it doesn't. But it makes more than Rwanda. Now, this is the Kai family, and they moved in there to work and like the house because of its location. But they aren't necessarily happy with their surroundings. Their next big plan is to purchase a new car, and their dream is to one day to be able to buy farmland. So we kind of look down here. It's fairly similar, but it's kind of toned down versions. They are able to purchase cleaning equipment, which is good. They are able to kind of have a kitchen space where they can keep their cooking utensils, which is really, a nice luxury to have. They have dishwashing soap. This is their front door. They have a fairly decent living, but it's obviously different from some of the things we are used to. Thank you. Yeah. So next up, oh, okay. Just gonna take a sec. Just gonna let you all put your definitions down for a moment. You got a lesson?
Yes, if you just call, I call the office.
Ah. How we doing, gang?
Awesome.
Yeah? We got, who's still writing? Anyone else still ready? Gotcha. So while we're waiting, it's okay, because it's still gonna be up here. Something else to keep in mind is gross domestic product per capita. And that is the average amount of money or wealth per person in a country in a year. So it's kind of the average idea of, say, how much a person in China makes in a year, or how much a person in America, or Canada, or let's say South America, Brazil, how much someone in Brazil might make. But it all is the average. It estimates how much maybe your parents make, like that. They're the average citizen, you would say. So let's get a, Ms. Burris can, actually no, because we gotta let you all write your definitions, which is all right.
You want me to go back to that?
Yeah, just because I realized some people were a little bit behind on the definitions, which is all okay. anyone who's not writing definitions right now, it looks like some people are still taking time. Just remember that there are some content questions on within your study guide. So just keep in mind what we talked about earlier, for when you can answer those. Basically, the discussion of needs and wants coming back again, as well as a couple others that we went through in class today that you can use your definitions for. Doing all right, Sarah?
Yeah.
Take your time. You got it? All right. We're gonna, Spurs, can you click GDP per capita? Thank you. But yeah, so this is the gross domestic product of different citizens around the world. As we can see in America, which is the dark green, it is about $100,000 or more that they're saying the average citizen makes, which is drastically different to certain places in Asia or Africa, which is less than $1,000 in a year. And even in places like Mexico, which is right next to America, it seems to kind of dip into only making about $10,000 to $5,000 a year, and it kind of drifts into that down into South America. So we kind of see some of the more like America and Canada and England are kind of in those healthy sweet spots, as we would say. Now, what I'm going to show you all next is a TED Talk. It is based around the magic washing machine. And this, it kind of goes back into what we were talking about earlier. Remember when we saw the gas can full of drinking water? And kind of how there's, in certain countries, there's a lot more labor put into, what we might take for granted with, say, electricity or running water, plumbing. This is kind of answering that question of how can things like electricity change the economics of people's lives. So we're just going to take a little bit and watch this. So I'm just going to dim the lights.
Grandson and granddad move on.
I was only 4 years old when I saw my mother load a washing machine for the very first time in her life. That was a great day for my mother. My mother and father had been saving money for years to be able to buy that machine. And the first day it was going to be used, even Grandma was invited to see the machine. And Grandma was even more excited. Throughout her life, she had been heating water with firewood, and she had hand-washed laundry for 7 children. And now she was going to watch electricity do that work. My mother carefully opened the door, and she loaded the laundry into the machine, like this. And then when she closed the door, Grandma said, no, let me push the button. And Grandma pushed the button, and she said, oh, fantastic, I want to see this, give me a share, I want to see it. And she sat down in front of the machine, and she watched the entire washing program. She was mesmerized. To my grandmother, the washing machine was a miracle. Today, in Sweden and other rich countries, people are using so many so many different machines. Look, the homes are full of machines. I can't even name them all, you know. And they also, when they want to travel, they use flying machines that can take them to remote destinations. And yet in the world, there are so many people who still heat the water on fire, and they cook their food on fire. Sometimes they don't even have enough food. And they live below the poverty line. There are 2 billion fellow human beings who live on less than $2 a day. And the richest people over there, there's 1 billion people, and they live above what I call the airline. Because they have spent more than $80 a day, you know, on their consumption. But this is just 1, 2, 3 billion people. And obviously there are 7 billion people in the world, so there must be 1, 2, 3, 4 billion people more who live in between the poverty line and the airline. They have electricity. But the question is, how many have washing machines? I've done a scrutiny of market data.
Okay, we're gonna have to stop the scrutiny of market data because we're about out of time. So tomorrow we will pick up, we may just start the whole video tomorrow. Guys, don't stand at the door, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.